On July 18th, 1918, 27 years before World War II ended, 36 years before apartheid would be legally challenged, and 76 years before he would become the first democratically elected president of South Africa, a child was born. And the world had absolutely no idea what had just arrived. But the stars did. The numbers did. And today on Birth Frequency, we are going to decode exactly what the universe wrote into Nelson Mandela the moment he took his first breath on this earth. Before we decode the stars and the numbers, let us first understand the world that Nelson Mandela arrived in, because context is everything. July 18th, 1918, the world population at that moment stood at approximately 1.8 billion people, less than 1/4 of what it is today. The First World War was still being fought on European soil. The Spanish flu, one of the deadliest pandemics in all of recorded human history, was weeks away from beginning its sweep across the globe, and would go on to kill more people than the war itself. And Africa, the continent that would produce this particular soul, was almost entirely under colonial rule, with South Africa already operating under racial segregation laws that would eventually harden into one of the most brutal systems of institutionalized oppression the modern world had ever witnessed. On that specific Thursday in July 1918, approximately 110,000 to 118,000 people were born worldwide. And of those, today, in 2026, virtually none survive. This generation is almost entirely gone. The men and women who shared Mandela's exact cosmic signature on the day they arrived have largely returned to wherever souls return to. Which means what we are reading today is not just a birth chart. It is a record of a frequency that the universe deployed once into a world on the edge of catastrophe and used to change the course of human history. Now, let us look at exactly what the sky was doing on July 18th, 1918. Because the sky on the day you were born is not decoration, it is information. The sun was in Cancer, the fourth sign of the zodiac, ruled by the moon, the sign of the nurturer, the protector, the fierce and unconditional guardian of home, family, and people. Cancer does not love lightly. Cancer loves with everything, with sacrifice, with memory, with a devotion that does not waver when circumstances become difficult. And when you think about that in the context of what Mandela became, a man who walked away from 27 years in a prison cell and chose not revenge, not bitterness, not war, but reconciliation, you understand that this was not political calculation. This was not strategy. This was Cancer at its most evolved, most complete, most fully inhabited. But the moon governs your emotional interior, the private self, the part of you that exists beneath the public face, that only the people closest to you ever truly see. And the moon on July 18th, 1918 was in Scorpio. And I need you to understand what that means when placed next to a Cancer sun. Because Cancer sun and Scorpio moon are two of the most powerful, most emotionally intense, most psychologically complex signs in the entire zodiac, sitting together inside the same human being. The Cancer sun gave Mandela his public face, the smile the whole world came to recognize, the warmth, the grace, the capacity for forgiveness that stunned even the men who had imprisoned him. But the Scorpio moon gave him something the world rarely talks about: the steel beneath the warmth, the absolute unshakable psychological endurance, the ability to sit inside a prison cell on Robben Island, a cell that measured 8 feet by 7 feet for 27 years and not be broken, not be destroyed, not be made bitter. Because Scorpio moon does not break under pressure, it transforms under it. And every year in that cell was Scorpio moon doing exactly what it was designed by the universe to do: dying and being reborn, deeper, quieter, more distilled, more essentially itself, more powerful than the version that entered. Saturn was in Leo in 1918, the energy of authority, dignity, and leadership earned through sacrifice and disciplined devotion to something larger than the self. And Jupiter was in Gemini, expanding through communication, ideas, language, and the written and spoken word, which is why Mandela's speeches, his letters written in secret on Robben Island, his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, made him one of the most compelling and enduring communicators of his entire era. Now, we go into the numbers, and this is where what you thought you understood about Nelson Mandela becomes something else entirely. Mandela was born on July 18th, 1918, month 7, day 18, which reduces to 1 plus 8 equals 9, year 1919, which gives us 1 plus 9 plus 1 plus 8 equals 19 equals 10 equals 1. And when we add 7 plus 9 plus 1, we get 17, and 1 plus 7 gives us a life path number of 8. And life path 8 is the number of power, of authority, of material force, and most crucially, of karmic justice. And the 8, when you turn it on its side, becomes the infinity symbol, because the 8 operates in infinite cycles of rise and fall, build and lose, gain and sacrifice, power and its consequences, endlessly repeating until the lesson is mastered. And the karmic law of the 8 is absolute and cannot be escaped. What you give returns to you amplified. And Nelson Mandela gave 27 years of his freedom, and what returned amplified was the freedom of an entire nation. And that is not coincidence. That is life path 8 operating exactly as the universe designed it to. His birthday is the 18th, which reduces to 9. And 9 is the number of completion, of humanitarian purpose, of universal love. The love that does not ask who deserves it before it gives. It is the number that contains all other numbers within it. The number of the sage, the elder, the one who has lived and suffered and understood enough to love without condition. And so, a life path 8, power and karmic mastery, filtered through a birthday of 9, unconditional humanitarian love, gives us power in the service of humanity and authority in the service of freedom. And the numbers did not predict Mandela. The numbers described him before he had done a single thing. Now we bring everything together. Cancer Sun, Scorpio Moon, Life Path 8, Birthday 9, Saturn in Leo, born in 1918, whose own numerology reduces to a 1, the number of the pioneer, the individual who begins something the world has never seen before. And when we read this as one complete picture, what emerges is extraordinary. The cancer in Mandela was his heart. It was the part of him that wept for the children growing up in the dust of the townships, that looked at his people not as a political constituency, but as family, as his own children, the ones he would spend his life and ultimately his freedom to protect. And cancer love is not soft. Cancer love is the most protective force in the natural world. It is the love of a mother who will place herself between her child and everything that threatens them without hesitation, without calculation, without asking what it will cost. That was what Mandela carried in his Cancer Sun. Not sentiment, armor made of love. The Scorpio moon was his foundation, because while the world saw the Cancer warmth, the radiant smile, the grace, the extraordinary capacity for forgiveness, the Scorpio moon was the infrastructure that made all of that possible. Because without the Scorpio moon, the Cancer would have broken. Every attempt to destroy Mandela, the imprisonment, the isolation, the hard labor in the limestone quarry whose dust would damage his eyes permanently, the psychological warfare of 27 years inside a system designed to make a man forget who he was, none of it worked, because the Scorpio moon was doing what it was built to do. Each year in that cell stripped away everything that was not essential, everything that was ego, everything that was personal, everything that was small. until what remained was something so pure, so concentrated in its purpose, so completely distilled into its truest self, that when he finally walked out of Victor Verster prison on February 11th, 1990, the whole world held its breath. That is Scorpio Moon. Pressure does not crush it. Pressure creates diamonds. The Life Path 8 brought the understanding of power that made him genuinely dangerous to a system built entirely on its abuse. He did not want power for himself. He wanted to dismantle the machinery that used power to oppress, and then share what remained. And the karmic law of the 8, absolute and unhurried and inevitable, ensured that the system that imprisoned him eventually collapsed under the weight of its own injustice. Because you cannot hold down a Life Path 8 forever. What goes down comes back up, amplified. And the birthday 9. The 9 is what made the miracle possible. After 27 years, after everything, he walked out of that prison and chose reconciliation over revenge. Not because he was naive, not because he had forgotten, not because the pain was not real, but because the 9 understands something that takes most human beings an entire lifetime to even begin to grasp. That hatred is a prison you build for yourself, and the only real freedom is the freedom to choose love, even when every human instinct, every justified human emotion, every wound in your body screams for something else. This is why July 18th, 1918 was not an ordinary Thursday. The universe had 1.8 billion human beings on this planet, and it chose that specific combination: Cancer warmth, Scorpio steel, Life Path 8 power, Birthday 9 love, and placed it in a small rural village in the Eastern Cape of South Africa, because it needed someone who could hold an entire nation's worth of suffering and transform it, not into more suffering, not into war, into something the world had never seen. It needed Madiba. And on July 18th, 1918, on a quiet Thursday, it got him. That is the birth frequency of Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. Cancer Sun, Scorpio Moon, Life Path 8, Birthday 9. Born into a world of 1.8 billion souls carrying a frequency the universe had been preparing for a very long time. And now, I want to hear from you. Drop your birth date in the comments right now. The day, the month, the year. Your full birth frequency. Because I read every single comment on this channel personally, and your date may become the next episode of Birth Frequency. Because here is what I know, and what this channel is built on. You were not born on a random day either. Your date carries a frequency, a blueprint, a soul purpose encoded into the exact moment you arrived on this earth, and you deserve to know what it says. So if this video moved something in you, if something in what you heard today made you pause, made you feel something real, made you think about someone you love, please subscribe to Birth Frequency. Hit the bell so you never miss a decoding. Share this video with one person today, someone who needs to be reminded that they did not arrive here by accident. Because we are just getting started, and the universe has a great many more frequencies left to decode. I am your host on Birth Frequency, where every soul that ever arrived on this planet left a code in the stars and the numbers, and this is where we read it. I will see you in the next frequency.